next speaker, Dr. BCAK Nayar ji, who is bringing in a wonderful new topic of Moola Ramayana, which is considered to be a Ramayana prior to Valmiki Ramayana as per Madhva tradition. Dr. BCAK Nayar ji, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
BCAK Nayar ji is a scholar who has got who subscribes to Madhva philosophy and has initiation into Madhva tradition, and he is eruditely studied in the Madhva literature, and he is ambidextrous. He has got wonderful, keen understanding of contemporary social theories, and he knows how to connect the traditional discussions in the traditional understandings of our culture, knowledge systems, and literature to the contemporary questions that contemporary society is raising. He has been participating in Indica's events on several occasions. He was in a conference on Vaishnavism at Srirangam, and he presented a recent paper, a wonderful paper on the living traditions of Ramayana. He took up a challenging topic where he covered movies and comics and all the contemporary living traditions of Ramayana, and how distortions are taking place in the contemporary traditions. Today, he is going to talk about a version of Ramayana which is called Moola Ramayana as per Madhva tradition, and Madhvacharya considers this Moola Ramayana to be the original Ramayana to Valmiki Ramayana, and how that argument is built and all those things BCA Kenayatji is going to explain to us. Over to you, BCA.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those kind words. So, actually, today what I plan to do is I plan to present how Madhvacharya puts forward the theory that there is a Moola Ramayana, which should be considered to be the utmost pramana. Actually, this idea of Moola Ramayana is not something which was invented by Madhvacharya. The idea of Moola Ramayana is there in Puranas, and even a couple of Vishishtadvaita thinkers have put forward this. Moola Ramayana is supposed to be of divine origin. They say Satakoti Sloha, 100 crores of slogas are there in Moola Ramayana. That is what is being said in Shastra. Originally, the Moola Ramayana was imparted by none other than Sri Hayagriva to Brahmadevaru, and subsequently, Brahma handed over a part of Moola Ramayana to Narada, and this was how the text was transmitted. This information is there in Purana, and Madhvacharya prefers or put forward this idea of Moola Ramayana, and we have to understand that right from the days of Adi Shankara, Valmiki Ramayana has been the golden standard. Although Adi Shankara in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya doesn't give a direct quotation from Valmiki Ramayana, he mentions the name of Valmiki. When it comes to Muni, kindly excuse me for the background noise. We are having monsoon rains and all those things. So today I have changed the place where, position where usually I give lecture, and consequently there is a background noise. Kindly excuse me. So we are experiencing power shutdowns and all those things. So I had to realign myself. So coming back to my point, when there is a quotation about Muni, Shankaracharya says, refers to the name of Valmiki. That means that Valmiki Ramayana has enjoyed status of Pramana or a status of primal text right from the days of Shankaracharya or even before that. But when it comes to Madhvacharya puts up another argument. He doesn't very explicitly negate Valmiki Ramayana, But what he does is that he puts forward Moola Ramayana. He simply doesn't mention anything about Valmiki Ramayana. Let us get into the talk now. Srinivas ji, could you please share the slide?
Sure.
So, Madhvacharya, I'm not going to spend much of the time in giving the historical, what to say, facts and biography. But basically, we should keep something in our mind. Madhvacharya states that he is none other than Mukhya Prana, who served Sri Rama as Sri Hanuman and Sri Krishna as Bhimasena, and finally Vedavyasa as Madhvacharya. This statement is there in his text itself. Among us Madhvas, we consider him to be the avatar of Mukhya Prana, and Hanuman, Bhima, and Madhva. All these three are considered to be three forms of Mukhya Prana who are not different from the Moola Rupa. So with this basic idea, let me move. Next slide, please, sir. See, I put this quotation from Vishnu Tattva Nirnaya, which is one of the texts of Madhvacharya, which gives a clear-cut definition about his school. He says that what are the pramana? When the question about pramana comes, he said that Rigadya, Bharadam, Chaiva, Pancharatram, he goes on. So Veda starting from Rig, then Bharadam is Mahabharata, the Pancaratra text, then comes Moola Ramayana, Chaiva Puranam. So could you please go to the next slide, sir? So Rig Vedas, actually this is a quotation from Brahmanda Purana. When he's asked to list his, what to say, text, he gives this quotation from Brahmanda Purana. He says that the right scriptures consist of 4 Vedas, beginning with Rig Veda, then there is Bharata, which is considered to be the 5th Veda, then the whole of Pancharatra Ahama, original Pancharatra text, original Ramayana, that is Moola Ramayana, the Puranas corroborating these other works. This is what he says. So in Vishnu Tattva Nirnaya, he talks about this Moola Ramayana. Then in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, he talks about Moola Ramayana. In a couple of other texts also, whenever he lists the texts that are the cornerstones of his philosophy, the texts that are considered to be Sat Ahama, or the texts which are considered to be pramana for him, he always makes use of the terminology Moola Ramayana. As I told you earlier, Moola Ramayana, the commentators say this is the original Ramayana, which has been, what to say, narrated by none other than Hayagriva to Brahma, and from Brahma it has been given to Narada, and through Narada we received it. This is what the commentators say. And Madhvacharya repeatedly makes use of or refers to Moola Ramayana, not to Valmiki Ramayana. And there are certain reasons for it. So he not just refers to Moola Ramayana, but what he does he tries to give a very, what to say, crisp narration of the events of Moola Ramayana in a text. Sir, next slide, please. One of the texts, maybe one of the longest texts written by Madhvacharya is Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. As I told you earlier, Madhvacharya very clearly states that the 5th Veda, Mahabharata, is also a very strong pramana. And the meaning of Vedas can be understood through Mahabharata. So subsequently, he is one of the acharyas, or maybe the only acharya, who took pains to write Nirnaya, text explaining Mahabharata, because that is very important for moksha sadhana. So this Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya has 32 chapters. As I told you earlier, the pramana status of Moola Ramayana is given in the 1st chapter itself. Then, in the end of the 3rd chapter, even though this Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya is all about the Mahabharata, what Madhvacharya gives is as a sort of a prequel to Mahabharata, or as a sort of, what to say, explaining the glories of Srihari. What he does is that in the end of the 3rd chapter itself, he begins with Ramavatara. And his idea of his understanding of Moola Ramayana, or what to say, his narration of a very crisp form of Moola Ramayana takes place from chapter 3 to 6. And even a little bit to the 7th chapter also. Could you go to the next slide, sir? So That is a very rapid. See, Madhvacharya is known for his very rapid narration and very, what to say, short sentences and all those things. So this narration of this Ramayana, I mean, shortened form of Moola Ramayana is no exception to that. It runs only to about 100 and odd slokas. And in this narration, he has tried to answer certain controversial parts. So the first thing is when Rama meets Rama, or when Rama met Rama. So there is a meeting of Bhargava Rama, Parashurama with Dasaratha Rama in Valmiki Ramayana and in almost all the Ramayanas. They say that almost Parashurama fought with Dasaratha Rama and all those things. One confusion that comes to most of the believers is that Parashurama and Dasaratha Rama, both these Ramas are avatars of Mahavishnu, and how can they fight against each other? And Madhvacharya, what to say, gives a very sharp answer. He says that Bhargava Rama did not fight with Dasaratha Rama. Both are avatars of Vishnu. They are no less. They know that they are same. Then what happened? What happened was that Madhvacharya gives a quotation from Purana, and he says that an Asura named Atula, he had did tapas, and he had, what to say, had a sort of a perverse understanding of Sayujya Mukti. So what he did was that he wanted to live in the body of Sri Vishnu, and as a result of this tapas and as a result of his boon, he began to live in the jada of Bhargava Rama, Jada Mahuda of Bhargava Rama. And actually, when the meeting, I mean, the confrontation between Bhargava Rama and Dasaratha Rama took place, that confrontation was a planned thing to do away with Atula. When Dasaratha Rama loaded an astra, and when he sent it, actually it was not Bhargava Rama's punya was destroyed, but it was Atula who was residing in the Jada Mahuda was killed. This is the first information, a new information that is given by Madhvacharya with a backing of maybe certain Pancharatra or extant Purana texts. Then comes the questioning of kidnapping of how Sita Devi was being taken away, because Sita Devi is none other than Mahalakshmi, and how could Ravana do it? In spite of most of the commentators say that since Sri Rama took a form of a Manusha, they acted as human beings. But even that doesn't suit in a certain area where Rama has exhibited this Amanishya or his, what to say, Purna Bala and all those things. So Madhvacharya says it is not that Sita Devi, who is Mahalakshmi herself, was kidnapped. Actually, there is a Sita Akrudi or a Maya Sita. Even one or two speakers before me spoke about this. Mahalakshmi, Sita Devi in the form of Mahalakshmi, she went to Kailasa to be worshipped by Shiva and Parvati. And Indra took a form of a Sita, and he was waiting there. Ravana kidnapped or took away only this Sita Agrudi, I mean Maya Sita, who was not none other than Indra. And actual Sita was never touched or even seen by Ramana. This is what Madhvacharya says in this part. And there's an extension to the story. And when it comes to trial by fire, Madhvacharya says that actually the Indra who had taken the form of Sita Devi entered fire, and out of the fire, actual Mahalakshmi, who is Sita Devi, came out. And just for Asura Mohana, or to, what to say, delude Asuras, and to facilitate this change, the trial by fire was ordered by Sri Rama. Not that he suspected Sita Devi and all those things. And then comes the question of second separation. And very interestingly, Madhvacharya says that the second separation was once again not because Rama was angry with Sita Devi, or not because Sri Ramachandra Murthy wanted to satisfy a set of his subjects. Is not like that. But there is another reason. That's what he says. He says that there were a set of asuras who did tapas and who got a boon that they will not enter hell as long as Mahalakshmi is not separated from Mahavishnu. Actually, Mahalakshmi is inseparable from Mahavishnu. That is one of the basic tenets of Vaishnava theology. And by getting such a boon, they thought that eternally they can live in this world. They will never be sent to hell. And in order to break this boon, during Ramavatara, what Sri Rama did was that he pretended as if he is separated from, how to say, Mahalakshmi. Actually, Madhvacharya says that those asuras who had got that boon, uh, they uh, they were the people who started certain gossips about Sita Devi. And because their boon was that unless they became a cause for the separation between Mahalakshmi from Mahavishnu, they will not be damned to hell. And nobody can separate Mahalakshmi from Mahavishnu. So they thought that they were very safe. And during this time of, how to say, Rama Avatara, they were also there in Ayodhya. And what they did was that they started certain gossips and they started to create issues and problems. And Sri Ramachandra took it as an excuse to pretend to be separated from Sita Devi, so that these asuras who have enjoyed life in earth for, what to say, thousands of years together could be sent to hell, and so that their boon can be broken. So this is what it says about the second separation. And finally, we have this issue of Shambhuga, which is a, what to say, a very disturbing thing to many people who want to view Hinduism as a politically right religion on all those things. Madhvacharya assessed that Shambhuga was a Shudra, he was doing tapas which is not fit for a Shudra, all those things he says. But when it comes to why, what to say, why Sri Ramachandra put an end to Shambhuga, Madhvacharya gives a very clear reason. It was not just because Shambhuva was a Shudra and was doing tapas and all those things. He says that the actual reason is Shambhuga's aim of doing tapas. Why did he do tapas? That was the question. It was not just to go to heaven with his whole body and all those things, as stated in certain other texts. Madhvacharya says that Shambhuva wanted to become Shiva. He wanted to attain the state of Lord Shiva. For what purpose? To enjoy Uma Devi. So it was this aspect of Shambhuva. It was this aspect of having a wrong intention on Uma Devi that caused his death. So since the Lakshya or the goal of the tapas was very much adharmic, and since the tapas was a very asuric one, where he was, how to say, hanging upside down on a branch and doing tapas and all those things, it caused death and problems to subjects of Ayodhya. And since the lecture was very bad, Ramachandra intervened and Sri Rama put an end to Shambhuga. And it was not due to just a Varna issue and all those things. Madhvacharya says this. Now, many of my dear friends would say that Madhvacharya is finding an excuse here and there to ensure that nobody speaks ill of Rama and all those things. And my dear friends, you may believe in Madhvacharya, you may not believe in Madhvacharya. As maybe as secular scholars or whatever it is, you could think about something. Madhvacharya, 800 years back, Madhvacharya knew very well that these are certain areas which will be problematized in the future in a very big scale, large scale. So these are some of the questions which will be raised, and confusions will be made among Sajjanas. So he has taken, because this is a Nirnaya Grantha, he has taken each and every step to ensure that all those allegations or all those confusing things have been settled in the right way. So we have to at least, if you don't see Madhvacharya as an Avatara Purusha and all those things, but at least you should understand that Madhvacharya was someone very bold and fierce theologian who wanted to set things right and who wanted to give answers to troubling questions. At least in that way, people who do not what to say, understand, or people who do not accept the legacy of Madhvacharya, they can at least accommodate these ideas in this point of view. Next slide, please, sir. Now, another important thing is that I believe Madhvacharya was the first person to talk about critical edition, even though he doesn't make use of that exact word. See, after narrating the story of Sri Rama, Madhvacharya says in Mahabharata Tattparya Nirnaya itself, this story has been told by me by collaborating the various Puranas, the Pancharatra, Bharata, Vedas, and Maharamayana. The various contradictions underlining have been reconciled, and the truth decisively told with the aid of reason and intellect, and all by the gaze of Lord Srihari. See, actually, there are throughout, how to say, our academic life, or even throughout this day, this particular day, we are going to hear about different versions of Ramayana. How many Ramayanas, very many Ramayanas, that thing that's just going to be discussed, and maybe some of the speakers who spoke before me, they would have already discussed those things. Some speakers will discuss it later. See, Valmiki Ramayana is there, Ananda Ramayana is there. Then we do have Tulsi Ramayana, Kamba Ramayana is there from South India. Then there is Mantra Ramayana, which is an extract of Vedic mantras which go in parallel with the narration of Ramayana. Likewise, there are very many Ramayanas. Ananda Ramayana is there. So, how to see what is the actual Ramayana? They talk about various narrations of Ramayana. Madhvacharya says that he is the first person to say that there are very many narrations of Ramayana, number one. So he says that the story of Rama has been told in various Puranas. It is there in Pancharatra. It is there in Mahabharata. It is there in Vedas. And Maharamayana is Moola Ramayana. The various contradictions underlining have been reconciled. See, there are contradictions between these narration. Madhvacharya says that he has reconciled that. He has given an explanation. He has tried to settle down things. And the truth decisively told with the aid of reason and intellect. So he says that I have rationalized, I have made use of intellect, and beyond all those things, Madhvacharya being he himself, he says that by the gaze of Srihari. See, this is a very important thing in the sense that Ramayana is very important to Madhvacharya because he is none other than Sri Hanuman. He could have very easily made a claim in the text saying that since I have witnessed all these things in my Hanuman Avatara, I say this is the truth and just accept it. But Madhvacharya, like modern editor of critical editions, is that, see, I have seen various versions, I have looked into them, I have found out what are the interpolations and all those things. He talks about interpolations and all those things. And finally, with the aid of reason, intellect, and by the grace of God, I have put forward a narration of Ramayana, which is proper. So this element of reconciliation is maybe we find it first only in Madhvacharya. Next slide, please, sir. And Madhvacharya says, in some works, different versions have been given and some other different interpretations have been made. Therefore, this decisive work by giving the true purport has been made by me. So he says that there are differences, but the actual purpose, it has to be given. And why there are so many differences, why there are factual differences between Ramayanas, this question is repeatedly asked. He says that Ramayana has taken place in many kalpas. And from one kalpa to another kalpa, we do have minor differences. So this kalpa veda is one of the reasons for differences between or existence of various kinds of Ramayana. So not that one Ramayana is right and one Ramayana is wrong when in the case of sequence of events and all those things. Actually, in one kalpa, that would have take place in that order. In another kalpa, the order might have changed a little bit. It is that is the reason. That is an explanation which he gives to the believers. Next one, sir. And how to interpret or how to find out what is actual Ramayana, what not is Ramayana, and how to see it. So when he says in variations regard to incidents occur in Bharata and other works, they must be found out from Lakshana works. He talks about Lakshana. So then he talks about numerous sayings. There are many Pramana slokas here and there. Then there are Nirnaya works. So with the help of all those things, we should try to interpret what happens in a Kavya, what happens in a Purana, not according to our own will. So he says that he himself has written this work. This work is Mahabharata Tattparya Nirnaya, which contains an extract of Ramayana with the help of Lakshana Shastra and with the help of Pramana slokas and with the help of other Nirnaya works. So he has written this work as a sort of an example or prototype of how interpretation has to be made. This hermeneutical idea has been put forward by Madhvacharya, and then he gives a very stern warning regarding interpreting. Next slide, please, sir. He said that there's a warning given in the Lakshana work composed by none other than Krishnan, who is once again a avatar of Mahavishnu according to Madhva belief, Vedavyasa himself. He said that one who comments on the meaning of Vedas without knowing the three methods of interpretation, 100 ways of annotation, and 7 kinds of differences goes to eternal hell. So all of us want to interpret, to say, the sacred text. We need to, some of us want to be things to be reinterpreted in accordance to the age where we live. Some of us want things to be reinterpreted in accordance to the political correctness and all those things. When we are cornered in debates and all those things, we try to reinterpret things. And re-narrations, I need not say about it separately. Many people want to narrate everything once again according to what to say, the style or necessity of the time where we live. But all these spatio-temporal issues, they don't affect a believer. See, a believer is supposed to go beyond all those spatio-temporal issues. He has his own key to Kavyas and Vedas and Puranas. So that's what Madhvacharya says by quoting Veda Vyasa. One who comments on the meaning of Vedas without knowing the 3 modes of interpretation. So there is what we call as the Guhya Bhasha or very secret narrations and all those things. One should be able to understand that. 100 ways of annotations and 7 kinds of differences. There are 7 types of differences which we want to understand while interpreting a passage or all those things. I'm not going into technical details of these semantic prescriptions because that will take much time. The commentators, they have very well, Madhvacharya himself have given a what to say, given a very short idea about what things are, and the commentators have expanded this and explained this. But today we are not going to talk about those semantic devices, but rather we are going to hermeneutic devices and all those things. Rather, our focus is on Ramayana today, so I'm not going in that one. But he gives a very stern warning: don't try to interpret Ramayana, or for that matter, any text, without what to say, having a very strong hold on these semantic devices. Else you go to eternal hell. Because this might seem to be a very stern and very dire warning to you. But the thing is that most of the people, especially academicians, especially people who work with Indology and all those things, they read a lot. They connect things. They try to interpret. And one fine day, without they themselves knowing, they would have lost their belief in the religion. And everything would remain as dry academical debates. So from such a perspective, we can very well understand the warning of Madhvacharya. So whenever you try to interpret, whenever you try to open the lock of Puranas or Vedas or Kavyas, make use of the key that is meant for that. Don't try to trust in your own idea. That's what Madhvacharya says. I believe this is a very, what to say, a relevant warning to all of us. Next one, please, sir. Then Ramayana has been very relevant in the lineage of Madhvacharya. So Madhvacharya's immediate disciple, Narayana Panditacharya, he has written a text named Sangraha Ramayana. Sangraha Ramayana, you know the meaning of the term Sangraha, collection or very short collection. So this runs to some 3,000 to 4,000 verses. This is supposed to be, even though it is supposed to be a very, what to say, short readable version of Valmiki Ramayana, according to certain people, there are certain parts in this Sangraha Ramayana that doesn't come in Valmiki Ramayana. For example, one example, common example is worship of the idol of Moola Rama by Sita Devi. That doesn't come in actual Valmiki Ramayana, but it is present there in Sangraha Ramayana. So people say that Sangraha Ramayana was actually collated by Narayana Panditacharya by reading certain version of Valmiki Ramayana, which is not in circulation right now. So Sangraha Ramayana has been quoted by many of the commentators who came in the line of Madhvacharya. So this is one short Ramayana text which is considered to be authoritative within Madhva circle. So then Padmanabha Tirtharu, who is once again a direct disciple of Madhvacharya, he gives and he makes an attempt to resolve the difference. See, he says that the Moola Ramayana that was handed over to Brahmadevaru by Haikadeva Devaru, and Brahmadevaru in turn handed over a part of the text to Narada. And since Valmiki is considered to be an Amsha Avatara of Narada, we can take Valmiki Ramayana as a Pramana. So this is what Padmanabha Tirtharu says. I don't know in which commentary he has made this, how to say, made this observation, but I have read the quotation quoted by Sri T.S. Rahavendran in one of his books. So I have to locate the actual quote from the corpus of Padmanabha Tirtharu. But the thing is, even though Padmanabha Tirtharu tries to do a Samanvaya, resolve the difference by saying that since Valmiki is an avatar of Narada, Valmiki Ramayana is Pramana, most of the successors of Madhvacharya, Padmanabha Tirtharu haven't taken it very seriously. That might be due to the reason that they would have accepted in theory that Valmiki Ramayana is good, and can be taken as a pramana and all those things. But however, in practice, they might have, what to say, they might have ignored Valmiki Ramayana due to the fact that they might have thought that it is full of interpolations which doesn't suit to theological aspects of Sri Rama. And Rahavendra Tirtharu, fondly called as Rayaru by us, he has written a commentary of Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, which is known as Bhavadeepa, where he very sharply summarizes the story of Rama. Once again, this is a better this is not better, but this is once again an encapsulation of Ramayana. And Ekaslohi Sundaraganda, which is chanted by thousands of people, Madhvas and non-Madhvas, is from this Bhavadeepa by Rahavendra. And Rahavendra has written another Stotra Grantha based on Ramayana, which is Ramacharitra Manjari. In some 8 or 9 slokas, Rahavendra, what he does is he summarizes entire events of Ramayana. And there is an interesting aspect in Ramacharitra Manjari. The interesting aspect is that he quotes an incident from Uttarakhanda. Actually, in Uttarakhanda, there is one story of a mendicant or a monk and a dog. See, during the rule of Rama, everybody was happy and Dharma was full-fledged, and there was no adharmic activities in Ayodhya. However, one day a dog came to the darbar of Sri Rama, and it said, it howled and it wanted justice to be done to it. So Rama being Paramadayala, Dayalu and what to say, Paramakarunya Murti, he called the dog and he inquired to the dog, what is your problem? Why are you howling? What is your issue? The dog said that, see, I have been minding my own business and I have been roaming in the streets of Ayodhya without any reason. One monk, he threw a stone at me and he injured my leg. See, I didn't try to bite him. I didn't try to create any trouble, but without any provocation, he had hit me. And Sri Rama, you have to do justice. So Rama summoned that monk, and upon inquiry, he found out that whatever the dog said was true. So Rama said that you are a talking dog. You seem to be very intelligent, and instead of you can recommend me the punishment. you can give the sentence. You can recommend whatever punishment has to be given to this monk who has injured you. The dog thought for a couple of minutes, and the dog replied that make him the head of the monastery in Ayodhya. There was a big monastery in Ayodhya, and the dog simply said that you make him the head of that monastery. And Rama said, see, it is very interesting, and I am very astonished. See, that person has actually injured you, but instead of asking for a very harsh punishment to him, you want him to be elevated to be head of the monastery. He is just a wandering monk, and now you want him to be made a Pidadipati or head of the monastery. And that means that you are being very graceful, you are being very merciful to that person. Why is it so? Rama asked. And the dog replied that, no, no, Sri Rama, I'm not being very merciful and all those things. See, actually, in my previous Janma, I was the head of that monastery. And when you are the head of that monastery, when you are that Pidadipati, in one way, unless you have a lot of vairagya and all those things, detachment, in one way or another way, you will commit sin. And consequently, I committed sins, and consequently, now I have become a dog. I'm wandering in the streets around the monastery. So I want this person to uh, experience my pain. I want this person to become a dog. That's why I want you to elevate him to as the head of that monastery, so that such a person who injures people or who pains people without provocation would create more and more sin. And who knows, he may even take a janma which is lesser than that of a dog. So that's why I'm doing it, not out of my goodwill and all those things. So this part is there in this Uttarakhanda. Many people, many modern Indologists, many modern apologists of Hinduism, Hindutva people, see, most of those people don't like this Uttarakhanda because there are certain things which are politically incorrect in Uttarakhanda, which doesn't suit their palate. But we have to keep in mind that it is the same Uttarakhanda that has this very sharp story, which is a very stern warning to religious heads, Madhadhipatis, and all those people. And Rahavendra, Sri Rahavendra Rayaro, who himself is a Madhadhipati, he makes a point to include this story in half a line or one line within his stotra, because he thinks that this is a very important message that has to be remembered by everybody. So Uttarakhanda is not always about oppressing of Shudras or abandonment of Sita and all those things. It's not like that. Uttarakhanda contains lessons which are very relevant to everybody even now. And Rayaru understood that. He would have understood that relevance and that point. So he made it a part of the stotra which he wrote that would be chanted by Madhvas for centuries together. So this is a very interesting thing which I would want to share. Now I have come to the concluding part of my lecture. Next slide, please, sir. See, what is the uniqueness of Madhvacharya's treatment of Moola Ramayana? And what is his relevance and contemporary? To first and foremost thing, Madhvacharya, by putting forward Moola Ramayana, he talks about how to collate information, how to collect narrations which are there in various texts, not a single text. See, this idea of the existence of single text is not very, what to say, suitable to Bharatiya Chintana. See, in our tradition, we have the same story being narrated in various places. In Ahamas, it will be there. In Mandrashastra, it will be there. It will be there in Purana. It will be there as a Kavya. It will be there in other places. So Madhvacharya, while talking about Moola Ramayana and subsequently giving it, he says that Moola Ramayana is that one text. Out of that text, there has been number of narrations. None of these narrations are wrong per se if they are not interpolations. Only thing is that we have to identify the actual text, number one. We have to identify the purpose and the purport of why the text is being or why certain things are being said. Number two, we need to make use of certain hermeneutical tools to understand that. And we have to collate and we have to put things together and we have to understand and we have to develop a coherent narration. So this aspect is very important. And it's a sort of textual criticism, nothing less than textual criticism. Textual criticism with a set of tools which are unique to Madhvacharya. Our modern textual critics, when we go for a critical edition, we make use of other tools, but here Madhvacharya makes use of or prescribes his own set of tools. So this is one unique aspect of Madhvacharya putting forward Moola Ramayana. Now, he doesn't simply say that since Moola Ramayana is it has 100 crores of sloka and it is not it is a sort of semi-divine text, let us ignore it. It's not like that. He says that semi-divine text has come here. Maybe if even one sloka is available out of, that is his idea, 100 crores of sloka, that has to be interpreted in the right way. Number two, he anticipates the doubts or the confusions that would arise in the mind of a believer. And he makes it a point to settle all those issues within Purana. He doesn't simply ignore these are Puranas, you need not worry about it. Because he knows that for a normal Hindu, he gets his wisdom out of Purana, not out of logic and out of Upanishads and out of Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So he makes it a point to settle down the seeming doubts and contradictions. In these two aspects, I think that Madhvacharya's promotion of Moola Ramayana and his summary of Moola Ramayana is very important to every Hindu, even in modern times. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, Nayarji. So very well argued. Your arguments are also so sound and contemporary. All your arguments are so contemporary, and you are alert to contemporary questions. And you presented Madhvacharya's position and Madhvacharya's argument in contemporarily palatable fashion. All the audience should look at your presentation that way, and many Madhva youngsters also should learn this way of presenting Madhva material. They have to, people like you have to educate youngsters among Madhvas how to present the right argument to the contemporary audience in a contemporary fashion. Your argument that it is a kind of a textual criticism of his times really is very keen and wonderful. There are some questions, Anish ji.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Pinkuja is saying, all these references are interesting. Still, I am confused to see why this distortion is there. Does this Moola Ramayana as an answer to all the value crisis that we are having today? Example of Shambhuka Vadha, because of his mal intention, one can see what Ram did was justified. But does it even possible? Is it even possible to take the place of Shiva? Was he not capable enough to handle? Like this kind of question we may get from the group of people who are always critical and questioning our scriptures and texts. So probably the question is whether Moola Ramayana is capable of answering all such criticizing questions from the contemporary.
Okay, sir. So actually, maybe Moola Ramayana or maybe any text for that matter, it will contain answers which would rise in the mind of a believer. And it will not contain answers that would rise in the, what to say, the mind of people who want to belittle a religious system. It is not possible to give answers or anticipate answers to all sort of negative criticism. Any author or for that matter, any acharya would anticipate the questions that would rise in the mind of a believer, and he would give an answer, not otherwise. So once again, if one answer is given, then you can always ask that question Vedanta. Vada would be always there. Coming, why not like this? Why not like this? Why all those things? And what we have to understand, that's why I've made it very clear. What we have to, as a Madhva, I take Madhvacharya's word as it is, and I understand because he is Aptapurusha, better than Aptapurusha. He's a founding father. And I understand and I take the answers of Aptapurusha as it is. The people who I base my trust on. But even for an outsider, he has to think about something. If he doesn't, even if he doesn't belong to Madhva system, you should think that Madhvacharya has anticipated this question and he has tried to answer this. You may believe it, you may not believe it, but 700 years back, who is going to worry if a Shudra is killed? No one is going to make a very big issue out of it. No one is going to conduct a, what to say, YouTube interview on it and all those things. No one is going to start a Shambhuga Sabha and all those things. But even then, Madhvacharya has said, Rama is Rama. Rama will not do any injustice. So you don't think that he has been, what to say, killed or samhara has been done because he violated, just because he wanted to do tapas. It's not like that. It is because of his evil nature he did it. And at least that part that our ancestors, our Acharya Purushas who lived 800 years, 1000 years, 1200 years, were able to anticipate our concerns. See, that is what I want to communicate. That itself is a very heartening thing.
Sunil Kumarji is asking, read recently that eternal hell, as discussed by Madhvacharya, is close to Abrahamic conceptions due to Islamic incursions that started happening in the subcontinent compared to more fluid conception of karma and narakas before before Abrahamic
Yeah,
conceptions.
this is a question about the Madhva system. See, the Adhyatmas or the eternal hell has, of course, many Indologists have put forward the idea that you have said. Maybe that was a result of the influence of Islam or Christianity, but it is not like that. I believe that in certain, even before the times of Madhvacharya, Madhvavatara, in certain Jaina texts, they are talking about this Andhatamas, the eternal darkness of certain people who are very cruel and all those things. And there is reference to people with this Ati Manta Buddhi, who will not be able to look into, able to get jnana, and who will never be liberated in certain other texts of Vedanta too. So this idea of this eternal hell is not something which Madhvacharya has invented. That is the part of Indian theology, Hindu theology, and Madhvacharya has just, what to say, highlighted it. Not that he borrowed ideas from Islam or Christian, because it is basically impossible, because this is the same Madhvacharya. He says, without Veda Jnana, there is no moksha. Then why should he talk about, what to say, get ideas from Islam or Christianity? Those are very fanciful thinking that we would sit with Islamic scholar or Christian scholar 700, 800 years back and get some inputs from them and interpolate those things in our thing. See, those things would have been very strong kandana would have been come from other place if such things have happened. So I don't, or many Indologists do not believe that that theory of influence there.
Sunil Kumarji, actually, some of these reward and punishment descriptions in our Shastras are in fact Arthavadas. They are intended to dissuade, punishments are intended to dissuade, and rewards are intended to encourage people. For example, if somebody is saying that you would incur a sin amounting to killing 1000 cows in a Punya Kshetra by doing such and such thing, it does not actually mean anyone would go and kill 1000 cows in a particular place. It is just a measure of the papa that a person incurs. So these are considered to be Arthavadas. So eternal hell is only an Arthavada description. It is not an actual belief in an eternal hell. Is what we can see from like Nayar was also, Anish was also mentioning. It is there in Jaina sources, which are much earlier to Islam in India. So these have to be understood in their right sense with a subtle perception.